It has been 8 months since we made our original 27 tips for Disney Genie Plus video, and so much has changed. We're making an all-new version of that video today with brand new tips, plus answers to the biggest questions that we get. We got a lot to cover. Let's get going. Hi-ho everybody, this is Rob with Ear Scouts. We have actually made this 27 tips video 3 different times, and before we can even get it uploaded, Disney makes more changes to the service. So fingers crossed that this time we're actually gonna get this video up before Disney changes things up again. But even if they do change things up again, we've added a new feature to our YouTube page. There is a brand new Disney Genie playlist. We will always have the latest on Disney Genie Plus in that playlist, and we'll try to keep it in the order that you should watch it so that everything will make the most sense. So if you want to get the very latest information, head on over to our YouTube page and look for that playlist. First things first, what is Disney Genie Plus? Disney Genie Plus is a service that you can add to your ticket here at Walt Disney World that gives you access to what Disney calls lightning lanes. These are faster lines. They're usually only about 5 to 15 minutes long to get on the attraction. It definitely saves you a lot of time. However, you can't just walk into these lightning lanes. You have to book them using the My Disney Experience app. We started this morning pretty much like we always start Disney Genie days. We got up a little bit before 7 a.m. We set everything up so that we could book our first lightning lane right at 7 a.m. I want to show you exactly what that process looks like. And in order to do that, we're going to use the magic of editing to take you back in time to early this morning when we set everything up. Let's go. Why am I awake at 6:45? Oh, right. Disney Genie. For me, the worst part of using Disney Genie Plus is you gotta get up so early in the morning. Do not pass go. Do not make your first cup of coffee. Go directly to the My Disney Experience app and set up Disney Genie. The reason you gotta do this so early is because everybody who's using this service can book their very first lightning lane right at 7 a.m. But don't worry, we're going to show you how you can get a little bit of an advantage on those folks and grab the best possible return time for the first ride of the day. Around 6:45 a.m., you're going to want to fire up the My Disney Experience app, go to the main menu, and tap on My Disney Genie Day. This is where you're going to set up the regular free Disney Genie service, and it's going to give you an advantage for booking that first lightning lane to already have this set up. Tap on Get Started Now, and then it's going to take you through a whole process. It's going to ask you which park you're going to, what day you're going, who you're going with, and then eventually it's going to ask you which rides and attractions you're most interested in. Now, if we were normal people, we would just put in all the rides and attractions we were interested in, but we are not normal people, my friends. We are trying to get a competitive advantage with Disney Genie Plus, so we are only going to pick one attraction. This is the one attraction that we want to do first thing in the morning, and that is going to bring it to the top of our tip board screen. So once you've selected that one attraction, go ahead, pay for Disney Genie, and then around 6:59, you're going to head over to that tip board view. You're going to see that attraction that you selected pinned to the top. You're going to notice that there is a grayed out box that says you can make that first selection at 7 a.m. Go ahead and pull your finger down the screen to refresh the view and keep doing this until it hits 7 o'clock. Once the clock strikes 7 o'clock, that grayed out box is going to become a button that you can tap into and book that first ride or attraction. You want to do it as quickly as you can because there are going to be thousands of people tapping in at the exact same time. You're not going to see the time that you get until you tap in, unfortunately. Later in the day, you will be able to see the times in the tip board view, but first thing in the morning, Disney hides those from you, so you've got to tap in to see what time you're getting. But don't worry, even if you don't like the time you've got, we'll show you later in this video how you can modify it. But with any luck, you're gonna have a great return time, and that means you can get a little bit more sleep before it's time to head to the park. Hey Mickey, so good to see you. Hi. Aw. Thanks, Mickey. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Well, we have used our very first lightning lane of the day to meet Mickey at Town Square Theater, which was an adorable way to start our day. But now you might be thinking, when can we book our next lightning lane? The good news is, the moment I tapped in with my magic band to meet Mickey here, I was able to go ahead and start booking my next lightning lane. The way that the process works is you can either book your next lightning lane as soon as you tap into the most recent lightning lane that you have booked, or 2 hours after you've booked it. The exception to that is lightning lanes that you book before the park opens. In that case, you do have to wait 2 hours until after the park opens before you can book your next lightning lane. So if you booked at 7:30 this morning and you're here at 9:30 and you're like, hey, why can't I book my next lightning lane? It's been 2 hours. It's because that clock started counting the moment the park opened at 9 a.m. Another question we get a lot is, do I have to have one of these fancy magic bands to use Disney Genie Plus? The short answer is no. There are a lot of different options you can use, including the free park ticket you'll get, or even your hotel key card if you're staying at a Disney hotel. We made a whole video about the different things you can use to tap in at rides and get into the parks. We'll put a link to that in the description down below. So I went ahead and I booked my next lightning lane. I used a technique I like to call playing the Disney Genie slot. So we're gonna teach you all about that in just a minute. But first, we gotta head over to Frontierland for our next ride, Big Thunder Mountain. Let's go do it. Well, my favorite ride in all of Magic Kingdom is checked off the list. And this is actually the perfect ride to share another tip about using Disney Genie Plus. If you tap in at a ride and you try to book your next lightning lane and it won't let you, it probably means that that ride has more than one tap point. So all rides will have a tap-in point right as you get into the line, but some rides have a second tap-in point closer to when you're gonna board the ride. It's not really worth memorizing which rides have these two touch points. Just know if you try to badge in and you can't book your next lightning lane, it probably means there's another tap point up ahead. Well, I was planning to show you guys how to play those Disney Genie slots next, but I actually got super lucky. I got a crazy good return time on our next ride right out of the gate. We are headed into Adventureland for the only ride in Walt Disney World that has even worse jokes than my videos. It's time for the world famous Jungle Cruise. Let's go do it.
I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I actually have no idea how my ex got caught in the tree.
Well, we have survived yet another trek into the jungle, and it's a good thing because this right here is the most important part of this entire video. I want you to imagine for a moment that you have a slot machine game on your cell phone. And every time you push your finger down the screen and spin the reels on that slot machine, you have a chance to win a really short wait for one of your favorite rides here at Walt Disney World. If you think of Disney Genie Plus as a game where you're going to win short waits on rides, you are gonna have so much more fun, you're gonna have such a much better time than if you think of Disney Genie Plus as a tool for booking rides. Because honestly, as a tool, Disney Genie Plus can be a little bit frustrating, but change your mindset and I promise you, look at the comments on these videos. People will tell you, if you think of this as a game and not a tool, you're gonna have way more fun and you're gonna have way less stress. So I'm gonna show you right now how to play the game. And now it's time for everyone's favorite cell phone-based slot machine game, Disney Genie Plus. In order to play, just fire up the My Disney Experience app. Head over to the tip board, then tap on Edit Selections. Now you'll choose the 2 to 3 fabulous prizes you'll be playing for. Remember, no more than 2 or 3 or else someone else will jump in and grab your fabulous prize before you can tap in and book it. Now head back to that tipboard screen. You'll see your 2 to 3 fabulous prizes pinned to the top. All you gotta do, take your finger, slide it down the screen of your phone, and that will spin the reels on those Disney Genie slots. You'll see the magical checking availability preloader, followed by all new times for your favorite attractions. Or they'll be exactly the same times or possibly worse. But don't worry, you can keep spinning those Disney Genie slots until you get the return time you want. But wait, there's more! With the new Modify Plan feature, you can now book any lightning lane you'd like, then save it in the Disney Vault. All you gotta do, book the lightning lane you want, then head back to the tipboard screen. You'll find it safely encased inside the vault. At the top of the vault, you'll see 3 little dots. Tap on those dots and choose a Modify Plan to keep playing those Disney Genie slots risk-free. At the top of this new tipboard screen, you'll see your current lightning lane reservation, followed by the time you could book it for right now. And underneath that are all of the fabulous prizes you could grab instead. Don't like what you see? Simply slide your finger down the screen to keep playing those Disney Genie slots.
Game not available in the 48 states without Disney parks. Some restrictions may apply.
We've arrived in Tomorrowland for our next ride, Space Mountain. We're actually in one of my favorite spots here. So if you're ever waiting on a lightning lane at Space Mountain and you just want to kind of chill out and relax, look to the right of Space Mountain and you will see some stairs leading down into this very peaceful area. A lot of times there's no one sitting around here because they don't know it exists. And that makes this the perfect place to play those Disney Genie slots. Now, those of you who know this park really well might be thinking, Rob, I think you just went from one end of this park to the other, and you would be correct, but I'm gonna tell you why I did that. For me, it is most important that I get those key rides done, the ones that are gonna run out of lightning lanes later in the day. Here in this park, the very first thing that usually runs out of lightning lanes is meeting Mickey at Town Square Theater. That's why we did that first. The other rides that are gonna run out of lightning lanes really quickly are going to be Peter Pan's Flight, Jungle Cruise, and the mountains, Space Mountain, Splash Mountain, and Big Thunder Mountain. So I'm gonna focus on getting those done as quickly as I possibly can. For me, I don't mind crisscrossing the park, especially if it means I can get those big rides checked off my list and I don't have to worry about trying to grab them later in the day. If you're not here at Magic Kingdom, you're at one of the other parks, the rides you're gonna wanna focus on are at Animal Kingdom, Navi River Journey, that's gonna be your number 1. Kilimanjaro Safaris is probably a good number 2. Beyond that, the rest honestly aren't that hard to grab even later in the day. I would say focus on Everest and Kali River Rapids next, but you probably aren't gonna have a hard time booking those unless it is crazy, crazy busy. At Epcot, the rides you wanna focus on are the big 3. Remy, Frozen, Test Track, probably in that order. The rest is gonna be super easy to grab. And finally, in Hollywood Studios, that is another park that I think Disney Genie Plus is almost a must if you're gonna try to do everything in one day. The attractions you're gonna focus on there, Slinky Dog Dash and Tower of Terror. Beyond that, you should look at Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, Rock and Roller Coaster with Aerosmith, and Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. So you might also be thinking to yourself, there's some key rides in these parks that you're not mentioning, like here at Magic Kingdom, there's Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, or over at Hollywood Studios, there's of course Rise of the Resistance. These rides do have lightning lanes, but they do not use Disney Genie Plus. For those rides, you have to get what Disney calls an individual attraction lightning lane. You're gonna pay per person for one ride on that one attraction and that one attraction only. The pricing fluctuates depending on the ride and how busy the day is, but it can be pretty pricey. I've seen Rise of the Resistance be around $20 a person, so it is a really expensive upgrade for sure. What I would recommend doing instead, if you've got early park admission, just make that your first ride that you do with early entry. If you don't, consider making that the last ride you do at the end of the day, because as long as you get in line for a ride at least 30 seconds or so before the park closes, they're gonna let you go through that line and ride that ride, no matter how long it takes. Now, there is a little bit of a risk there that I feel like I should mention. Some of those rides, especially Rise of the Resistance, are prone to go down a lot. If the ride does break down at the end of the day, there's nothing you can do. You're not going to be able to ride it. So if it is a do or die must ride for you, I would say either pay for that lightning lane or just plan a really long wait at some point in your day to ride that ride. That actually might be a good thing to do while you're waiting on the 2-hour rule to pass, for example. One question we do get a lot about individual attraction lightning lanes, people wonder, does that affect the 2-hour rule or your ability to book your Genie Plus lightning lanes? The good news is no, it does not. The two systems are completely separate. You can book an individual attraction lightning lane and immediately book a Genie Plus lightning lane. The other question we get a lot is, what should I book first thing in the morning? So right at 7 a.m., if you're staying at a Disney Resort hotel or a partner hotel, you can book your individual attraction lightning lane starting at 7 a.m. For everybody else, they have to wait until the park opens. But everybody, no matter where they're staying, can book a Genie Plus lightning lane right at 7 a.m. For that reason, I recommend you book things in this order. If you're at Epcot right now, there is a special virtual queue you'll need to book for Guardians of the Galaxy. We made a whole video about that. We'll link it down below. But I would make that the very first thing that you book. Second would be your Genie Plus lightning lane, because everybody can grab that, not just resort guests. That is going to be the one you're going to want to grab as quickly as you can. And then third would be to focus on individual attraction lightning lanes if you are a resort guest. Another question that we get asked, can multiple people in my party be trying to book things at the same time, especially right there early in the morning when we're trying to grab multiple things at once? The short answer is yes, you can, and we're going to talk more about that after we ride Space Mountain. Let's go do it. So I have had a lot of really strange things happen to me while I've been making these Disney Genie Plus videos. But what just happened back at Space Mountain is definitely a first. So you know how sometimes you might accidentally pocket dial someone? You just are fumbling with your phone and you dial them by mistake? I just pocket dialed a lightning lane. So I had been playing the Genie slots while I was in line for Space Mountain. Definitely recommend you do that. Always play the slots while you're in line, because what else are you going to be doing, right? I didn't really get anything that great, so I just quickly threw the phone in my pocket. As I was pulling my phone out of the pocket, I was fumbling. I pocket dialed a lightning lane for Splash Mountain for right now. So how crazy is that? We are now headed all the way back across the park to Splash Mountain. And I know what y'all are thinking right now. You're like, Rob, you really want us to go back and forth across the park? No, my friends, do the park the way you want to do the park. If you don't want to do all this crisscrossing, just look for lightning lanes that are closer to you. We've actually got a brand new series of videos that are all about that. It's called Practically Perfect Day. The first one's already done. You can watch it, Practically Perfect Day at Magic Kingdom. We'll put that in the Disney Genie playlist, and we'll also have a link to it in the description down below. So another thing that people mention they don't love when they're watching these Disney Genie Plus videos, they're like, Rob, it looks like you're staring at your phone all day long. Well, yes and no. I do try to find those moments when I can look at my phone when I wouldn't be doing anything else, like when I'm in line, or I'm waiting on a lightning lane, or I'm waiting on a mobile food order. Those are all great times to do it. But there's another thing you might want to consider doing, and that is making Disney Genie Plus a team sport. In your family, you might not enjoy playing those Disney Genie slots like at all, but guess what? There might be a really super competitive person in your family who loves playing those Disney Genie slots. Also, you might not be much of a morning person, so the idea of getting up a little before 7 a.m. to get everything going, that might sound like torture for you, especially on vacation. Well, maybe you do have a morning person in your group and they can handle that part. What I'm getting at is you can use multiple people to manage Disney Genie Plus as the day goes on. If you do decide you want to share the responsibility of managing Disney Genie Plus, the easiest way to do it, just go into the My Disney Experience app, hit that main menu, scroll to the bottom, and you'll see My Profile. Tap in there and there is a family and friends list. Make sure that everybody who wants to manage Disney Genie Plus has all of the members of the group in their family and friends list. If you can't figure out how to make that work, talk to a cast member, they'll be able to help you with it. But if the whole thing just seems way too complicated for you, you just want one person to manage it on one device, you can, of course, just pass that same device around. One person plays the slots here, you just keep passing that same phone or iPad or whatever it is that you're using around between the members of your group. If you do decide you want to go the route of passing the same device around, I strongly suggest bring one of these battery backups. Actually, even if you're not passing the device around, these things are great for keeping your devices charged. I love this one that we use from Anchor because it has 2 ports on it, so you can charge 2 things at once. There's a regular USB port, but then there is a USB-C that's capable of fast charging devices. So if you've got a device that can be fast charged, bring that USB-C cable and it will charge up super fast with this guy. We'll put a link to this one in the description down below, along with another option that the battery isn't quite as large, so it's a little bit cheaper. Now let's go ride Splash Mountain. I feel so bittersweet right now because I love Splash Mountain and I know that I'm going to love the ride they're going to replace it with, Tiana's Bayou Adventure, but it does feel sad knowing that's one of the last times I'm going to ride that ride. So anywho, we are over here at New Fantasyland because I wanted to grab some lunch at Gaston's Tavern. But what I want to talk about next is what I call Disney Genie Gremlins. The worst of the Disney Genie Gremlins, and the one that you can't really do much of anything about, is sometimes your Lightning Lane reservation will just go poof and disappear. What some people recommend doing is taking a screenshot of every reservation that you book, and that way, if it does go poof and disappear, you at least have something you can show a cast member and maybe they can help you with it. Having said that, unless it was a crazy good Lightning Lane that it's gonna ruin your day not to get back, I would say just go ahead, book something else, use that modify feature to get something great. But if you're really upset about it and you wanna get it, bring that screenshot to a cast member, look for the blue umbrellas, or go to guest relations. They can sometimes help you rescue a missing Lightning Lane reservation. Another Disney Genie Gremlin that's pretty common is actually a feature. I didn't realize this at first, but if you're ever refreshing your tipboard screen and it jumps like all the way to the bottom of the list, what's actually happening here is a feature that Disney built in on purpose. So if you tap into any ride in your tipboard list and then you tap back out, when you refresh the view, it is going to jump back to that ride. So this can actually be somewhat helpful if I'm modifying a Lightning Lane. Let's say I don't really want to keep the one that I have at the top. I'll tap in on the first one on my list, and that way when I refresh, it'll jump past that one at the top and show me the rides that I'm most interested in my view. So this can be a feature you can use to your advantage. Another really common Disney Genie Gremlin that we hear a lot about is people go into that tipboard screen and they expect to see their top selections at the top, or they expect to see that button to edit selections, and they don't see any of that. What that usually means is you have not set up your free Disney Genie service. Go ahead to the main menu, tap on My Disney Genie Day, and then tap on Get Started. That's where you're gonna go ahead, set those initial selections, and from then on, you should see your top picks at the top of your tipboard screen, and edit selections should be right there where it should be. The last Disney Genie Gremlin I wanna talk about is one that is unfortunately there by design. If you tap on a Lightning Lane reservation time and you don't tap quickly enough, someone else can have grabbed that lightning lane time before you did. So you will see a different time on the next screen. Now, a lot of folks don't know what's going on here and they're just really frustrated. They're like, hey, I just tapped on a different time and now it's showing me this. It's actually because someone went in and tapped in before you and grabbed that time. That's why it's super important when you refresh and you find a time that you want, you gotta tap in super quickly so that you can grab it. I am gonna share with you a way that you can use this little Disney Genie gremlin to your advantage. In fact, that's what we did to score our next lightning lane over at Peter Pan's Flight. This tip only really works if you're focused on getting one ride and one ride only, and that's the case for us. We wanted Peter Pan's Flight, so go ahead and book whatever time is there for the ride you're aiming for. Once you do that, you're gonna go ahead and tap on Modify Plan just like you normally would, but now instead of refreshing, what we're gonna do, we're just gonna tap in and book whatever time is showing up now. When we get in, it's very possible that the time will change, and it doesn't always change for the worse. Sometimes it changes for the better. So use this to your advantage, tap in, tap out, tap in, tap out, and keep doing this until you score a great return time. The great thing about doing it this way is you don't have to worry about jumping in and tapping in quick enough. You don't have to worry about losing that lightning lane. Once you've tapped in, you've already secured it. So if you're happy with what you've got, just go ahead, confirm that selection, and you're all set. You've got the lightning lane you wanted, and you didn't have to worry about tapping in fast enough so you wouldn't lose it. Well, thanks to that trick, we now have an amazing return time on one of the most difficult to book lightning lanes in this park. Let's head on over to Peter Pan's Flight. Well, my friends, for those of you keeping score at home, we have now booked every single ride in this park with a difficult to grab lightning lane. All of them are done, and it's like 2 o'clock right now, so we could do a ton more stuff here. We could actually go ahead and book those rides that are easier to book. We could also see some of the amazing shows that are here at Magic Kingdom, but instead of doing any of that, I want to show you one of my favorite Disney Genie Plus features, and that is that Disney Genie knows how to hop. And if you have a park hopper ticket or an annual pass, you can hop with the Genie. It's super easy to set up. All you're gonna do is go into your My Day view, scroll down to the bottom, and you're gonna see a link down there to plan for your next park. Tap on that, let it know which park you wanna go to, and then it's just like setting up the original free Disney Genie service. You're gonna choose the rides that are most important to you, and voila, your tipboard screen is all set up for your next park. Some important things to note though, you cannot modify a reservation from one park into another. If you've got a reservation booked and you're trying to modify, know that you can only modify within the same park at this time. They may change that in the future, and if they do, we'll definitely include it in a future video, but for right now, when you're modifying a reservation, you have to stay within the same park. Either cancel the one you have here, or go ahead and use it up before you start booking for your next adventure. We are headed over to Hollywood Studios. I went ahead and just grabbed a lightning lane for whatever. It honestly doesn't matter because you can modify it to be whatever you want it to be. The important thing is that you grab something, because that's gonna start that 2-hour clock counting. There's a very good chance that since we're park hopping, we might wanna make use of the 2-hour rule. If we do that, the 2 hours are gonna start counting from the moment that we book something. No matter how many times we modify that lightning lane, it's still going to start counting down from the first moment that we booked the original one. Before you get on that bus, make sure you book something, anything, it doesn't really matter. We're gonna change it into something better later in the day. We have finally made it here to our second park of the day, Disney's Hollywood Studios. While I was waiting on that bus and while we were on that bus, I was playing those Disney Genie slots. Normally, I don't recommend playing for more than 15 minutes, but if you're on Disney transportation and there's nothing else to do, why not play the slots, right? So you remember how I said earlier in this video that there were key rides that if you did not grab them early in the day, they would be really difficult to get later in the day? Well, take a look at this tip board here at Hollywood Studios. all of those rides are showing as no longer available. Thankfully, while we were on that bus, I was able to score one of those rides. I got Rock and Roller Coaster for basically right now. But once we're done with Rock and Roller Coaster, we're gonna be trying to grab more of these rides. Now, just because it says not currently offered doesn't mean that they're gone for the day. They can come back. Essentially, Disney will sprinkle in some more lightning lanes as the day goes on, especially if the rides are running smoothly. Also, people just change their plans. They cancel a lightning lane, decide they want to do something else. That's basically how the Disney Genie slots work. Those two things mean that lightning lanes come back into the pot, and if you're refreshing at just the right time, you can tap in and grab them. Let's go ride Rock and Roller Coaster, and we'll see how lucky we are, how many more of these lightning lanes we can grab. Let's go do it. We are a little bit early for our lightning lane here at Rock and Roller Coaster. It's 4 o'clock, but our lightning lane is not until 4:10. But that gives me the perfect opportunity to talk about grace periods. Whenever you have a Genie Plus lightning lane, you can actually tap in 5 minutes before the lightning lane starts or 20 minutes after the lightning lane ends. Our lightning lane is from 4:10 to 5:10. That means we can actually tap in anywhere from 4:05 until 5:30. Now, a lot of people will tell you you can actually tap in anytime you want after that lightning lane starts, and that's kind of true, but honestly, once you get beyond 20 minutes after the return window, it is at the discretion of the cast member. They will usually go ahead and let you on, but if they were really backed up or it was almost the end of the night, it is possible that the cast member could say, sorry, your lightning lane's expired. So while technically, yes, you can usually fudge it at the end, I would say be safe and do it in that 20-minute grace period. That was a jam good ride, my friends. I was yelling so much, I think I'm starting to lose my voice a little bit. But while we were in line back there at Rock and Roller Coaster, I was playing those Disney Genie slots, and I was able to snag a return time of 5:35 for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. Obviously, that was a ride earlier that was showing no longer available. I am super happy with a 5:35. When you've got Disney Genie Plus, and especially when you watch these videos, it seems like the mission is just get as many rides as you can, as quickly as you can. Well, we're doing that to kind of show you what's possible. But really, the best way to use Disney Genie Plus is to use it to enjoy the park. So right now, we've got an hour before our next lightning lane, and that is totally fine. We're gonna go enjoy things. Maybe do a little bit of shopping, catch a show, or just stroll around the park and take in the sights. Two of my favorite things in all of Walt Disney World, coffee from Joffrey's and a Joffrey's Cronut. If you've never had the Cronut at Joffrey's, give that a try. It is insanely delicious. But while we got this little bit of downtime, I wanted to answer some of the questions that we get asked most frequently in the comments of these videos. One of the most common questions that we get is, what if you're coming to Disney World as a large party? You see us in these videos, we're usually just a party of 1 or 2, like today we're a party of 2, and we're able to grab lightning lanes relatively easily. We did a video recently where we were in Magic Kingdom on one of the busiest days of the year, and we were booking lightning lanes for a group of 9 people. It was a lot harder than I thought it was gonna be, especially on busy days. If you are a party larger than 4, you're going to find it much harder to grab lightning lanes for those key rides. Those rides we were talking about earlier in this video, the ones that are really hard to book, those are the ones that we saw different return times depending on whether we were a party of 4 or less or a party of 5 or more. If you're 4 or less, you're gonna be fine. But once you hit 5, you might wanna consider breaking into smaller groups for those really key rides. For everything else, the lightning lane return times we saw were pretty much the same. Even rides like Pirates of the Caribbean or Haunted Mansion, we saw the same return times, whether we were a party of 4 or a party of 9. The max you can have booking lightning lanes for at the same time is 12. So if you're more than 12, you've got to break into smaller groups anyway. But I would say if you're here with a large group, consider breaking into parties of 4 for those key rides, but then you can book everything else as a large party together and it's not going to make a big difference. Another question we get asked a lot is how long should I spend playing the Genie slots? Honestly, this kind of depends a lot on what your goals are and also how busy the park is. If the park is not that busy, you can usually get by playing the slots for like 3, 4, 5 minutes, and you'll be able to get pretty much everything you're going to want to get done during your day. If, however, you've got a really ambitious schedule, maybe you're trying to park hop to different parks, that's when you're probably going to need to spend more time playing the slots. My rule of thumb is I try not to ever play more than 15 minutes. Now, I have broken that rule a couple times. Like today, I broke the rule when we were on the bus over here, mainly because I didn't have anything else to do. If you are here on a busy day and you're a larger group, do know you're gonna have to spend a little bit more time playing the slots than you would otherwise.
Everything is just so peachy.
Adorable. While we were in line for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, I was able to snag another one of those lightning lanes for a ride that said there were no lightning lanes left. So we scored a Smuggler's Run lightning lane for right now, basically. While we have been super lucky getting lightning lanes for the ones that show as no longer available, I do want to say you can't always get that lucky. Usually you can, but there are a couple of scenarios where you're probably not going to get it. Let's go over those right now. Number one is towards the end of the night. Basically, in that last hour or so of park time, if you haven't seen a lightning lane for a ride all night long, chances are very slim that it's going to come back in that last hour. In fact, in the last 30 minutes, Disney will turn off the lightning lane system. Make sure you book your last lightning lane before 30 minutes before the park closes. The other time when it's going to be super hard to grab a lightning lane for a ride is when it's been down for a super long time. If Disney doesn't know when that ride is going to come back online, they will turn off lightning lanes for that ride. Well, now let's head into Galaxy's Edge for our next lightning lane over at Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. It's time to take a spin in the fastest hunk of junk in the galaxy. So we grabbed some coaxium and rescued the Resistance once again. We also grabbed our next lightning lane for Toy Story Mania. It's about an hour from now. We played the Disney Genie slots for about 10 minutes actually. As this night is going on, it is getting harder and harder to grab lightning lanes, even for those kind of mid-tier rides. This is something I think is important to note. When you're here at Hollywood Studios, because there aren't quite as many attractions as there are over at Magic Kingdom, and most of them are heavy hitters, it does get to be a lot harder to book lightning lanes in this park versus that one. In that park, people are spread out amongst more rides, so even though there might be more people in that park, it's easier to grab the lightning lanes because there's more things that people are aiming for. I'm gonna go grab some dinner right now. Fairfax Fair's got a brand new menu I wanna check out, but I'm gonna keep playing those Disney Genie slots. I would really, really love to grab a lightning lane for Slinky Dog Dash or Tower of Terror. Maybe we'll get lucky. Let's find out. We haven't even gotten our food yet, and already we managed to snag a lightning lane over at Slinky Dog Dash. We've been trying to grab this ride really since we got here, so I'm really excited that we were finally able to grab it. We're gonna head over right after we eat. First, we're gonna try some of the new food here at Fairfax Fair. Well, I've got some good news and I've got some bad news. The good news is the new menu at Fairfax Fair is delicious. The bad news is Slinky Dog Dash is down. We got the dreaded message saying that a change has been made to our itinerary, which basically means this ride is down. You're gonna get an experience redemption instead of that lightning lane. So When this happens to you, go ahead, immediately book your next lightning lane because that's freed up. But know that you've now got what I like to call a bonus lightning lane. You can use that bonus lightning lane on any of the attractions that appear in the list. It'll always include the attraction that you got it for, and then there'll be some other options you can use. Now, obviously, we're not gonna use this anywhere other than Slinky Dog Dash. We're gonna wait for that to come back online. But when it does, all we're gonna do, we're gonna go up to the ride, we're gonna badge in just like we have a lightning lane, even though we don't, and it's gonna work. So while we're waiting for Slinky Dog to come back online, I wanna answer another question we get frequently, and that is, what if everybody doesn't want to ride one of the rides that you're gonna book? What I recommend doing in this case, go ahead and book it for everyone because it takes a lot of time to go in and just choose who is gonna ride the next ride. In that amount of time, you might have missed a great return time. Go ahead and quickly book it. Once you've got the lightning lane that you want, you go into the My Day view, tap into that reservation, and then there's a link that says cancel. Don't worry, it's not gonna cancel for everyone. It's gonna give you a chance to choose who you wanna cancel for. So just select those people who don't wanna ride, cancel those guys. Everybody else has the lightning lane that they want, and the other folks are free to book something else. Toy Story Land is so beautiful at night, but we're not just here because it's beautiful. We're here because Slinky Dog is back. Let's go do it. So we don't have a lightning lane for Slinky Dog right now, but we do have that bonus. Let's tap in and see what happens. And just like magic, it worked. So there are still a few more rides here at Hollywood Studios we could grab lightning lanes for, but there are a whole lot more rides left over at Magic Kingdom, and that's where our car is parked. So I went ahead and I grabbed our next lightning lane for Haunted Mansion. We're gonna head over to the buses, and when we get there, I'm gonna share a few more tips and answer a few more questions about Disney Genie Plus. Let's go. We are back here at Magic Kingdom, and I have one last question to answer. This is one that we actually get a lot about Disney Genie Plus, and that is there a maximum number of lightning lanes that you can book? So I think the origin of this confusion is a lot of times in their materials where they talk about Genie Plus, Disney will say that you can expect to book 2 to 3 experiences per day. Now, obviously, you've seen in this video, we have booked a whole lot more than 2 or 3. I think Disney does this to kind of under-promise, over-deliver, but there is actually no limit on how many Disney Genie Plus lightning lanes you can book. The only limit really is that you can only book each attraction once. But even then, if you get a bonus lightning lane, you can use that on an attraction that you've already ridden the lightning lane for. So even with that limitation, you can still sometimes ride rides twice. I think another layer of confusion on this one comes from those individual attraction lightning lanes. So there's one of those in each park. Those individual attractions, you are limited to booking 2 of those per day. Those restrictions do not apply, however, to Genie Plus lightning lanes. We have got 2 hours left in this park. Let's see how many of those Disney Genie Plus lightning lanes we can fit in. Are you ready? Let's go do it. "18 attractions. We just did 18 attractions across 2 different parks with Genie Plus Lightning Lanes. And actually, there's a little bit of park time left. We still have time to run over and jump on Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. We're gonna leave you guys with some footage from Seven Dwarfs, but I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video and you learned a ton about using Disney Genie Plus. If you did, please be sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and ring that bell so you'll be notified when new videos come out. Until next time, don't forget to think happy thoughts, everybody. We'll see you again real soon. Now let's go ride Mine Train.